everybody. My name is Isaac Lee. I'm here with my fellow co-host for the Kelly Writers House Speakeasy, Rachel. And we're here to introduce you guys to the first all-general Kelly Writers House Speakeasy of the fall semester. We did host our freshman Speakeasy last week, and we had a wonderful bevy of performers, artists, and one stand-up comedian that really brought the laughs in the house. And we're very excited to see what all our other returners and newcomers have to bring to the table tonight. Before we get started, I would like to remind everyone of the Kelly Writers House rules and motto, which is poetry, prose, and anything goes, which essentially means if you got something you want to bring to the virtual podium, you are free to bring it, whether it be songs, poems, literature, recitations of poetry or existing literature, stand-up comedy. If you got something you want to say that comes out of your mouth, then you are free to do it. The only restrictions we do have is that we'd like you to be sensitive and aware of your content that you bring, and that before you present, you can tell the audience that if you have any trigger warnings or sensitive material that you are presenting. And we hope you stay in contact with us and come see us again for further speakeasies, which we host every month, announced over email and Facebook. And without a moment to waste, I will let my co-host introduce the first performer.
Thank you, Isaac. First up, we have Brandon.
Hi, I'm glad to be here. My name is Brandon. I'm a staffer in the Office of University Communications as a writer. And when I'm not doing that, I am doing some creative writing on the side, including essay writing. So I brought you today my essay, Along Came Susan, which I wrote in the thick of quarantine, the shutdown back in March and April, about cleaning as well as dating. So here's my reflection. All right. I met Susan one drizzly day in April. At first glance, she was well kept and shiny, purple like the icing on a Pop-Tart. Her shape was spelt like an Olympic runner at the top of her game, turbocharged and raring for some action. Susan, you see, is a Dyson. Yes, like the vacuum. Before her, there was Maple. Maple was the new age, but off-brand, stick vacuum who, emboldened by her youth, thought she could do anything. Maple combusted after her first interaction with my long-haired cat's fur. She took one look at that pileup of hair and thought, gee, I really should have been a less dangerous appliance, like a refrigerator. She got the equivalent of a tickle in her throat and died 3 weeks later. Cause of death, a piece of string in her motorhead. Then came Milton. Milton was a classic. A dirt devil that was red like mom's lipstick. Classic and conservative, but brave, efficient. A winner among vacuums that claim to do only the minimum, but do so with their brush heads held high. Milton started out promising. Sure, his plastic felt like it would melt if I set him within a meter of a space heater. And true, he copped an attitude when I tried maneuvering the suction tube and he fell apart. But he sucked the way you needed a vacuum to suck. When I said suck, he said how hard, and when I took him to the cat litter corner, he said, okay, sure, but don't set your expectations too high. Milton, to be clear, is not dead. Milton just took an early retirement and some workers' comp after his tube cracked and his filter failed him like a faulty menthol. Now he's a set prop in the office, a signal to anyone who enters that I do, in fact, clean. So even if someone spots an old orange rind in a corner or hears cracker crumbs calling from the carpet, one can only think, but the space must be pretty clean because there's a vacuum. I took some time after Milton to be with myself. Losing one vacuum was enough, but two, I knew better. My judgment couldn't be trusted. Diving in with a third felt like a commitment, a test even, as if when I did, it had to be the right vacuum. There had to be meaning behind it, some zazazu. Sparks had to fly out of the socket, metaphorically, I mean. As these days went on, I reacquainted myself with Brenda. She was a broom from the 99-cent store. She'd gathered up dust in her dull gray bristles in the weeks since I'd abandoned her. Not in the way a broom is supposed to collect dust, but the sad kind that indicates stray tumbleweed of cat hair and lint has been blown her way and attached itself just from the movement of airflow and passing foot traffic. Like when a glass of water sits for a couple days and nothing has been done to it, but still, somehow, there are specks of dirt inside of it and a slight discoloration. But she was fine. Brenda, I fast realized, was a version of going out for some tender loving with your old gut buddy from college. She got the job done in a bind, even if she only really swept away the superficial layers. She was plywood when I needed oak. Then along came Susan. Susan, as it turns out, is the match your mom or your best friend keeps insisting would be perfect for you. But complacent with failure, or maybe just too cynical to admit they might be right, the looks turn to the cheaper option or maybe the nicer looking one. Which is not to say Susan is not attractive, she's a handsome woman. A little top heavy, maybe, but agile and with her swivel head, God, oh God, is she flexible. I wasn't optimistic when we first locked eyes. She was a lot to take in. There were manuals to read, chargers to set up, accessories for the accessories. In our first go of it, I noticed how lightweight she actually was. She'd been going to the gym after all, it seemed, and the long-haired fur I'd sat with for months, engulfed by the suction like a California forest in flames. Still, I resisted. It's our first date, I thought. This can't last. Somehow, it has. The next week, the carpet in my bedroom just felt better underneath my toes, as the animal fur and outside world grime spun through Susan's black hole of a filter. I even found my cat lingering in the corner, looking especially comfortable with a facial expression that suggested, hey, I really am a mess, huh? Sorry about all that. The week after, I took her for a spin through the extra room, which had been littered with clutter. My storage room, I called it. But really, I was just lazy and hated lugging out and breaking down cardboard on trash days. We talked it out, and Susan convinced me to move out the storage to make room for her. Uncharacteristically, I made space. A week later, out from the mess of the room has emerged an office. A true, clean desk and all office. And I found myself reaching for the dice in the second a new piece of dirt surfaces in my periphery. An enemy target threatening the sanctity of my accomplishment with Susan. I hear a piece of cat litter or dirt fall to the floor as if I'm one of those sense-heightened superheroes in Saturday morning cartoons. Only my power doesn't seem to do much except improve air quality. Not the sexiest power for the next film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. One day recently, comfortable in my new routine with Suze, I caught a nail in her motor and panicked. My guttural squeal suggested a loved one had been struck by a car. I stopped what I was doing, got down on my knees, prayed a little, remembered I'm not religious, and then reached in her belt to remove the metal piece that threatened life as I knew it. I shudder to think what life would be like without Susan now, how my room would still be storage, and I'd still have Millennial Maple taking up space there with her burnout bill. Milton remains, true, because I believe in taking care of the elderly, but he now seems like a relic of a former, messier, less hopeful version of myself, and I wonder if I might trash the reminder one day soon. When the nail fell out and I realized the good Lord of whatever had mercifully spared my Susan, she was a Dyson after all, I sat with myself and stared at my dustless office. I thought about all the times I failed to move a box from the room or walked by and closed the door to pretend the mess didn't exist. And then I looked at Susan for a moment, practically undressing her with my eyes, seeing her for what she was beneath that neon purple veneer. No longer an infatuation, but a relationship. A strong, sturdy, stable presence in my life that empowered me to clean up my own messes and armed me with the confidence to tweet out the bad juju in my life, or at least the cheap vacuums. Despite myself, I reached for my phone and fired off a text. Maybe Eric wasn't so bad after all.
Thank you very much, Brandon. Lovely imagery and great work you did there. Keep at the writing, my man. For our next performer, could Chris please step up?
Okay, here we come. The song. I need somebody help. Not just anybody help. I need someone help. Help in any way. These days are gone. I know that I open up the door. Help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please, please help me? Now my life is changed. Many ways vanish in the haze. Maybe now and then I know that I never done before. Help me if you can. Help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please, please help me? These days are gone, and now I find opened up the door. Help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please, please help me, help me, help me. That was Puppet Master singing their version of an old English folk song. Thank you.
Thank you, Puppet Master. It is so nice to see a familiar face. After all of this, it was delightful, reminding us it's always okay to ask for help in these difficult times. Next up, we have Irving C. Jones, also known as Karamo. Okay.
Karamo?
Karamo or Irving, I don't know which they prefer.
Give me just a few seconds. I'll be right with you.
Okay. Should we? Okay.
We could just wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Just give a friendly shout out to everyone watching the stream as well. Hope you guys are healthy and safe, doing well this September.
Yeah, I'm certainly doing good this September. I would hope that everyone else is also doing well.
I guess I can begin now.
Absolutely.
I was going to read one poem anyway. Okay, hold on one second.
These are the joys of doing a Zoom speakeasy.
I'm so sorry. I want to apologize to everybody. I have
It's
one
totally
poem, and I will read that. And I was going to do two, but I've been such a pain in the you know what to everybody. And here is my video. Can you see me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is real short. And it's entitled The Postman Roulin, a painting by Vincent van Gogh. Post is prominently displayed on the hat. The hat is blue, with the respect and dignity according to his position, a man of importance. At this time, before cellular phones, cathode ray tubes, and plastic, the fine blue uniform, the well-defined texture of the strokes, his beard prominently displayed. A just reward for the carrier of the letters of Van Gogh. If you'll permit me, I'll read one more.
Yes,
Sounds
that was
good.
lovely.
You have to forgive me. I'm reading off of the smartphone, which is probably the worst possible thing you could do.
I'll tell you from personal experience, it's a bit of a struggle, but you're not the only one.
Mm-hmm. Hold 1 second. This one's entitled 71 in a Truck. Most of the men, 59 to be exact, as if strength can give you more power to breathe even there if there is no air. Decaying flesh, as if no one cares about human life. The possibility never occurred to those who took the money. The 8 that were women, wives, mothers, sisters, daughters, the smaller, gentler things that for some reason were ignored. When you find decomposed bodies that are left so long, they are dried flesh beyond recognition, the stuff that's left in the refrigerator far too long. Only this time, instead of rotted cabbage, it is human. My only question, the children, 4 of them, did the driver hear? Any cries? Did it cost too much to stop and open the door for a breath of fresh air? Thank you.
Thank you for the poems. That was lovely to hear. Hope to see you again at the Speakeasy, man. For our next performer, could Larry please come up to the virtual stage?
Yes. Thank you for inviting me, and God bless. Could you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I have 3 poems. The first one is called In Search Of. In search of love, I'll go out on a limb. In search of friendship, I'll search until time ends. Where there is love, that's where I'll be, wrapped within its mystic clouds of happiness, so protectively. True love and friendship derives from deep within oneself, so once found, gladly share them with someone else. For all things come freely from the Heavenly Father above. Remember this as you go along your journeys for whatever you are in search of. In search of. The second one I have is called Rush of Love. Just when I was about to give up on love, it came into my life quickly, striking like a snake, but as gentle as a dove. It opened up in me passions that I never felt before, leave me totally confused, but yet yearning for more and more. Why did love for me take so long? This I guess I never know, but now that it's finally here, I'll never let it go. Forever I'll cherish it, hoping of it to never ever give it up, always savoring the sweetness from this sudden rush of love. Rush of love. And the last one, Masquerade. There's so much hurt and pain in the world today, and to it, mankind is slowly but surely losing its way. Everywhere you go, There are signs of the systematic annihilation of the human soul. Frustrated with and yearning to be free from the system, and to accomplish this feat, people without conscience will to do this by any necessary means. Just adding more to the bloody trail of destruction that's a catalyst in the journals of evil and corruption, and a part of the masquerade which to its way mankind is becoming slaves. Masquerade. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing those 3 poems.
Yes.
Next up, we have Daniela.
Hi, all. Thank you so much for having me. Okay, I have 2 poems, and I hope they're not too long. Thanks. The first is called Overbrook Park. Night passes through the slits of the old blinds while the pipes consider breaking, swarming, sealing water stains in a conference of despair. One night, the electricity went out and the apartment was transformed into Sisyphean doorways and turntables, the kitchen cramped as a dollhouse left out in the rain, corroded and whimsical. I know my husband by the patting of his feet, the silent neck and eyebrow poised before laughter. Vitruvian dragon, he lies in the next room, insomniac made of fire, flexing between fatigue and desire, adrenals creaking like dreams, materializing in sparks like gold, the rotund mystery of being, just under our beds if he could sleep long enough. One eye open to the world he continues to miss. The local kids ring the front door in a loop asking to play. They are sweet and brazen angels, footballs tucked under arms, shoelaces casually undone. The first time we meet, the middle child offers my son his ice cream. The youngest shows me a scar. They call me Ms. Danielle, young and perfect, tottering between formality and grins. I have a desire to even out this world for them, to excavate. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm going off my computer, not paper. I have a desire to even out this world for them, excavate and present all of its broken promise, larger than any imaginary world my 5-year-old draws, larger even than the magnitude of forgiveness. There are no easy explanations, only the discomfiture of history, broken promises, hurried muddy trudges and centuries of rain, seeking solace under strangers' porticos, arms heavy under darkened skies. We are glazed under a temperamental moon we are forbidden from seeing, dizzy from a want to be found. It is like the gaggle of kittens we once shoveled from under bus tires and rehomed, meowing in the indignation of having been lost at all. Thank you. And if there's time, I have one more poem about the same length. Okay. This is called, thank you. This is called Seasons, and it's actually the second part. I cut out the first part. Winter rises from beneath the cars and grips my ankles coolly, while clouds continue to billow, make imprints like a child's tea party tinkling in the distance. In lecture class, I introduce the idea of the bourgeois. Stumbling over the pronunciation like it is a wet memory, I am trying not to tear, to double in smaller plus smaller increments, but instead pull into my chest like a funeral napkin for reuse. I remember my 20s, hot lemon teas and torn chenilles on Avenue B, the clink of leather heels passing through Washington Square, the slow pulse of cigarette lighters, soggy pierogies in Little Odessa, spinach omelets with now famous, prideful poets. The years accumulated like the first line of a rehearsal no one has shown up for, the theater itself a shining monument to joy. It is not so much want that drives me, but the idea of a future locked in this, a china cabinet tipping over with books in a home where there are no bookshelves, a bed funneling into the floor as if there is no floor to give, a breaking doorknob looped in its own enactment, drop, break, clutter, replace, gilded and fancy. It is a champion of faux crystals. It is as if I could see my own cloudless future and its opulent face if I could just stare long enough. I remember watching a trapped car growling against an overgrowth of snow, how rapidly the flakes fell, a silent pace, eternity and beauty in a blink. Was that moonlight shimmering down in gossamer adjudications, or the simplicity of the streetlight, bare and unornamented as our lives? At home, my daughter runs into my arms and shares childish secrets in tender and magnificent whispers, divine intoxication in the wrapped knots of her wild hair, while my son sits stolidly, 9, turning the pages of his well-worn dinosaur books. The familiar feel of fingers venturing toward something known to be remembered, while a blizzard announces itself in the distance. Thank you so much. That's what I have.
Thank you, Daniela. Lovely combination there. Always love some good rhythm and a dash of alliteration in the writing. For our next and final participant of the night, please welcome Erica to the virtual stand.
Hi everyone, I'm Erica Acosta. I am a freshman at the College of Arts and Sciences here at the University of Pennsylvania, and I will be performing 2 poems for you tonight. The first poem is called My Door. My door was locked and shut. No knobs, no holes, no cracks. There was no trail of footprints. I'd up their tracks. My door stood safe and sealed. I'd checked each nail and screw, until one day I opened it for you. I opened it for you. You stepped right through my door. I hadn't seen your shoes. They walked across my floor. But then you left my room, not saying a goodbye. Just closed my door behind you, not even saying why. I don't recall a doorbell. I don't recall a knock. See, I thought I let you in, but you just picked the lock. That was my first poem. My next poem is called Welcome to the Internet. All of the younger generation. Here we go. One tap on a screen or a click of a mouse, with posts to share and websites to browse, heads turned down instead of to each other, staring at pages with scrolls from a finger, messages sent from all across the globe, words acting as treasures or microbes. Current events are always close at hand. Catch the latest news from any piece of land. Form communities to share your artwork and talent and receive praise for all the time that you spent. Paint a picture of yourself without any flaws. After all, it's the internet. Are there any laws? Faster and faster your time is ticking. Waste your hours on endless clicking. Post your life and see others' lives too. But how many people are really watching you? Welcome to the internet. You'll sure enjoy your stay. But once you enter, good luck trying to get away. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. I love your rhymes. I love your snappy rhymes. That's all there is to say. Now, if we were in person, we'd open it up to anyone who wants to speak. But because that's unfortunately impossible in this particular configuration, we're just going to say thank you so much for coming to the monthly Kelly Writers House Speakeasy. And we're going to have another one next month in October. And we hope to see you there as well. Everybody have a good night.
Take care, guys.